All right, radio check, radio check. Hopefully my mic is working. Okay. So we have had quite the turn of events after the end of yesterday's stream. A couple of lap time deletions due to track limits. And then we've had Pirelli discover that their tyres are unfit for driving on the Qatar circuit. So I will get into that and explain exactly what's happened. Effectively, well, it's not been great really. It's very similar to the actual tire situation itself isn't similar to the 2005 US Grand Prix. It's a different. It's caused by a different reason, but the outcome is effectively the same. So we will. It's not great. Not a great look for the Formula One sport, but these things happen, and they've thankfully rectified it very, very quickly. So I'll just do a quick rundown of what happened yesterday. So after qualifying ended, the FIA were taking their merry little time looking through the track limits of all of the drivers, and then they discovered that Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris had both exceeded track limits about 15 minutes after qualifying had ended. So then 15 minutes after qualifying ended, they had announced their lap time deletions after Norris and Piastri had given their interviews, being like, "Oh yeah, we're in second and fourth position, and that's a great for the team, and etc. etc." And here they are with their lap times getting deleted out in I think it's now 6th and 10th for the two McLaren drivers. Lando got his lap time deleted earlier as well, so in Q3 both of Lando's lap times were deleted, and he ended up with no. Lap time set in Q3 and ended up in 10th position, obviously, because of that. So Lando Norris definitely not having a great Saturday, and we'll see how that goes. But today is the sprint day, obviously, so completely new qualifying again, completely new race, and we'll just see how that goes. Okay, so now the tyre issues. Also, guys, if you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. It definitely does help out the channel. And if you aren't subscribed, then be sure to do that as well. The data will load, hopefully, shortly now. We'll have to see. So what happened in the practice sessions were that the teams, obviously, they do their usual testing runs, drive around the circuit, gather the data on the tyres and whatnot. And then after they've done, I think it's 45 minutes of testing, they have to hand a set of tyres back to Pirelli for investigation. Pirelli takes one set of tyres from all of the drivers and just has a look at them, see if everything's all right as expected. And yeah, just do a little bit of analysis so they can learn what's actually going on within these tyres when the drivers are driving around. So that's what happened yesterday. Pirelli took their tyres from their teams in the practice sessions, and while they were doing their investigation, all the preliminary checks, like the obvious stuff, it was all fine. But then when they went deeper into the tyre, they noticed some sort of issue. I can't describe it exactly, I'm not a tyre expert, but I think there was like a connection layer between I think the inner core of the tyre and the outer layer of the tyre. That connection was just completely like worn away, and it was basically the connection had broken. And that they noticed that in only the tyres that had been driven more than 20 laps. So, yeah, effectively what the FIA have said that you can't drive more than 20 laps on your tyres. You will have to come in for a pit stop. It's mandatory for this race, just under safety conditions. And so that's what's happened there with the what's it called? Yeah, with what the FIA have said. And then the other thing that they have done is turn number 12 and 13, as you can see here on the track map. Turn number 12 and 13, both pretty high-speed corners. The drivers are accelerating out of 10. 11 is basically just a kink in the road. And then 12 and 13 is extremely high speed, and the drivers actually go quite a bit over the curbs there. And that is... just not ideal whatsoever. And effectively, so if I was to describe what the curb is like for the first 20, 30 centimeters, it is quite smooth and the curb doesn't really impact your car too much. But then once you go past that limit, the curb starts to get really rough. It starts to ramp up and it gets pretty steep as well. and the drivers are driving over that steep part, especially in turn number 13. So what they've done is they've moved the white line inwards by 80 centimeters, and that's what that effectively has done is it has made the width of the circuit smaller, and if the drivers do go out past the 80 meter like past the white line, well, no, if the drivers stay within track limits, they won't be going over the rough section of the curb. They'll only be going over the smooth section, which isn't damaging the tires, which isn't damaging the cars as much. But yeah, so that's effectively the main reason why they have moved in the track limits at turn number 12 and 13 on the exit of the corners to effectively reduce the vibrations and the amount of time that is spent on the curbs. Yeah, so it's just the duration of time. The curbs aren't particularly violent, but it's the amount of time that they spend on the most violent part of the curb, which isn't great. So yeah, shouldn't it be up to the driver to take the risk or not? All this handholding. Well, you see, the thing is that back in 2021 as well, Pirelli had issues around Qatar. It's a very, very high speed circuit, no low speed corners whatsoever, and the tires are constantly getting loaded in one way or another. And I think we saw Valtteri Bottas have a. It was one of the Mercedes. I'm not sure which one. I think it was Bottas that had a tire failure on his front left, and then we saw, I think, one of the Williams also get a tire failure. So Pirelli have had issues at Qatar before, and I think they're just trying to avoid having any more issues like that. I think we've had a couple in the previous couple of years now with the cars getting so fast. We saw 2020 Silverstone, Danny Kvyat had his rear tire just explode while going into Maggots and Beckett's, and then he went flying into a barrier at 200 miles an hour. So they had that. They had Max Verstappen's failure in 2021, just going down the back straight at Baku. It just blew up on its own. And then, yeah, talking about Baku once again, I think it was 2017 or 2018 Baku where Valtteri Bottas had a tire explode. And then in Qatar as well in 2021, they had tire issues once again. So these circuits where they do have extremely high loads for long periods of time, the tires just are struggling. And the issue is that if there is a tire failure, it's all Pirelli's fault. It's not a driver mistake. They can't do anything about it. The drivers take risks that are in their control. They take the risk of, oh, I'm going to drive out on the curb and try and maximize lap time, even though I could, slip on the curb and then end up going straight, or lock up on the curb and end up going straight. But the tires, all of the tires that were driven more than 20 laps showed this like failure in the connection between the core and the outer layer, which meant that the tires were going to fail quite soon. So I think it's fair enough what Pirelli and the FIA have done. The drivers should have been asked. The drivers weren't asked. I think they decided it so quickly because they didn't have much time. The drivers just weren't consulted, and the drivers wake up and they get told that the circuit is 80 centimeters smaller on the two high speed corners of the circuit. It's not what the drivers want to do, but if the drivers are warned to take it easy there, it's their responsibility. It is their responsibility, but it's also, like, the thing is, it's sort of like a ticking time bomb. Like the more time you spend on the curb, the quicker you are to damage your tires. So it's a tricky situation. And if you just watch the onboard lap of any driver, they spend so much time on the curb. It's just like, yeah, you've got a ticking time bomb, and you don't want to obviously put the drivers in that. Like you wouldn't put a car, if you were told in your car, oh yeah, your tire might explode after you've done 500 miles in it, then you probably would try to change a tire and not take that risk. So I think it's fair enough. Hello, everyone. Hello, OG Ninja. It's Ramel, Florian Prochnow. Nice to see you're all in the chat. So effectively what's happening now is they're having an impromptu practice session for 10 minutes. Oh, in fact, this qualifying timer is wrong because qualifying is delayed by 20 minutes. Yeah, in fact, I'll just turn that off. The data will load 10 minutes before the actual qualifying that's been delayed, but yeah, I heard that Stroll had a quarrel with his performance engineer. Yeah, Stroll was not having a good day yesterday. He got out of the car, just like threw the steering wheel out of the car as soon as he was in the garage, then jumped out, I think punched a wall or something, or shoved someone, yeah. So it's not great from Lance Stroll. So, and I think in the Sky Sports interview, he just swore in the interview and walked off. So yeah, he's definitely not having the best of times, and we will see what he can do. Really, can he improve? Yeah, I mean the thing is, we were talking about this yesterday. It's his dad's team effectively. So if he wants to drive, then he definitely has the seat. But then of course he has to be quick enough as well. Otherwise, his dad's basically just losing money by letting him drive around the circuit. And of course, he wants to enjoy it. He doesn't want to get completely destroyed by Fernando Alonso all the time. So it's if he picks up the pace, then he'll feel good. But of course, picking up the pace when you're already one of the fastest drivers in the world is pretty difficult. So we'll just we'll have to wait and see what happens to Lance Stroll. How he does in today's qualifying. Is he going to be able to match Fernando Alonso? Is he not? Yeah, I guess we'll wait and see. Currently, the practice session is not going underway, of course, but we will see. Yeah. Oh no, sorry. The qualifying session isn't going underway. The practice session is. Yeah, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get any data for the session. I'm just gonna see. No, don't think I'm getting any data for the impromptu practice session. It's called a familiarization session. The driver's just getting used to the changed circuit with the 80 centimeters reduction in track width. It was painted out like literally this morning. You saw the track marshals and stuff getting out the paint brushes, the paint spray, the buckets full of paint, and they're just painting the curbs on. Yeah, even Checo isn't enjoying himself. But yeah, that doesn't mean he's shoved his engineer. It's fair enough, really. As in, it's what Checo's doing is the right thing, obviously. We'll just have to wait and see how he does, how Lance Stroll does as well. Also, the other thing is that what was I going to say? Oh yeah, Lando Norris. It's been rumored that Lando Norris is being looked at by, well, not being looked at, but he's been given an open invitation to drive for Red Bull in the second seat. So Checo does have a contract for next year, I think, but Lando Norris has been given an open invitation. I'm sure if Norris accepts, they wouldn't mind just paying Checo out and just be like, right, well, take your money and now go away. And Lando has a contract with McLaren, but I'm sure Red Bull have heaps of money to just, tell McLaren to take the money and give us your driver. So we will have to wait and see how that progresses. Of course, being Max Verstappen's teammate is not the easiest thing in the world, as we've seen from Gasly, Albon, Checo, Ricciardo. So, and it's very much been a sort of, well, it hasn't been career ending. Of course, Gasly, Albon are now still good midfield drivers. But it's, I guess it would say it would be career ending if you wanted to stay in a top team. Like McLaren are looking to be a top team now. They're looking to be pretty quick, second, third fastest. But if you do want to get, what was I going to say? Yeah, if you do want to get into a top team, I don't think like Albon isn't going to get a seat in a top team anytime soon because of his performance against Max Verstappen. So, if you perform badly against Max, your career chances are significantly diminished. And I'm sure that's what Lando is just worrying about. What's going to happen with him? Been watching since Azerbaijan 2021. Love you, bro. Haven't been here in a while, but I'm back. Yeah, I do remember you telling me that you've been watching since Azerbaijan 2021 Blist. So, yeah, nice to see that you're back. It's been what, 2.5 years since then. Pretty incredible. Um, yeah, thanks for sticking with the channel. Right. So the drivers are out on their familiarization session. They're just lining up at the end of the pit lane, and we will get. I'll just commentate it, and there will be no data because yeah, it hasn't been properly scheduled into the timing system, so there's not any sort of data that will be coming through by the looks of it. Yeah, no data is coming through for the session, but we'll just deal with it. So the driver's just driving around. The only change that has happened to the circuit, they've just moved track limits in by 80 centimeters at turn number 12 and turn number 13. So that's what's happened. Also, I would like to say that Lando Norris was quite harsh on himself. He was fourth position yesterday before he got his lap time deleted, and he was still very, very annoyed by the fact he was 2/10 slower than. He was 2/10 slower than Max. He said he could even get pole position if he hasn't made a bunch of mistakes. So I mean, who knows? Maybe pole position's a bit of a stretch. See, the thing is, if Norris believes that he could get pole position, he's going to try and drive the car in a way that's going to get pole position. But let's just hypothetically consider that the McLaren is only second fastest. The Red Bull is the Red Bull is faster, and there's nothing like the McLaren can do. Even the perfect lap will be slower than a Red Bull. And in that situation, Lando Norris would be pushing unnecessarily hard, making these small little mistakes here and there. And because of obviously he's pushing the McLaren beyond its limits. And then he exceeds the performance of the car, loses time in that process, and then ends up being slower than he actually would have been. So yeah, I think Norris was aiming for first position and ended up in fourth, but if he aimed for second, he could have got second. So that's kind of the situation that Lando Norris is in. Maybe it's a bit of a mentality shift, but of course, being a racing driver, making your way all the way to Formula One, you definitely want to win, definitely want to get pole position. And we will have to see. I think two Reds are going to disappoint us today, both Man United and Ferrari. Yeah, I think someone asked me yesterday. Yeah, I think it was Zayn Malik. Obviously not the person from One Direction, but someone with the same name, asked me who you support, and I said United because yeah, two teams in red. Ferrari, disappointing, and the same for Manchester United. Right. Also, Claire Lorraine, prefer your commentary more than Sky F1 and the FIA. Well, I very much do appreciate that. Thank you for that kind compliment. Yeah, I've heard that quite a lot of people say that, but I don't know really. I'd love to potentially get a chance to commentate for Sky, but I entered into a DHL F1 competition, in fact, and I haven't heard anything back, unfortunately. It was a commentary competition, and haven't got a reply, so we'll just have to wait and see. The drivers I think all of the drivers now are out on the circuit, just getting ready, getting the information, and yeah. Do you watch cricket? I watch it occasionally. I think of course, the World Cup is on now. Last time I think England won it, and I think it was quite dramatic. What happened? I think there was like some sort of deflection. It's pretty, yeah, bit ridiculous to be honest. I think it was the same time as the 2019 Silverstone Grand Prix. I'm not sure. What was I going to say? No, we do have data. We'll have it for the qualifying session, not for this like familiarization session. It's only on for 10 minutes, and effectively we're not getting it because it wasn't scheduled into the system. And the system, yeah, if it wasn't scheduled into the system, so we're not going to be able to get the data. All right. Okie dokes. I mean, the drivers are just getting. Yeah, it was the Silverstone, Wimbledon, and cricket final. Yeah, that's what was happening. Pretty great weekend. All right. So I'm just watching the onboards now, and the drivers are getting pretty used to the circuit. I mean, they're only going to get what if it's 10 minutes, they're going to get 5-6 laps. driving around the new part of the circuit. It's not exactly the best situation, but I mean, these guys are quick learners, and it is, after all, it's a modification to the circuit. It's not a completely different corner or anything. So they will be, I suspect they'll be fine. They'll just have to brake slightly earlier and turn in a bit earlier and, go 20 kilometers an hour slower, which the drivers are obviously not going to like. But yeah, hello, Zayn Malik. Just talking about how Manchester United are going to be pretty disappointing today against, who are they playing? Well, Brentford. We'll see what they can do. Okie dokes. Alrighty then. So drivers, yeah, I mean, there's not much really to add. The drivers are just driving around the new part of the circuit, all within track limits, as expected. They've kind of got used to it already. They might have got like a sim put together just for some morning practice. But yeah. Also, the dust and the sand situation on the circuit a lot better than yesterday. There isn't that much sand that has been deposited on. That has been that has been deposited on the circuit overnight. So, my mic is not having a great time. Hello, testing. Hello, testing. Okay. Hopefully my mic continues working. Yeah, just give me a sec, guys. I'm going to try and fix this. Okay. Right, that should be fine. Yeah, Max, I think exceeded track limits very slightly there, just going past the white curb on a completely different corner, not even the new corners, but yeah. All right, the data will start in qualifying. Yeah, apologies for that. It will be, how long is that? It'll be, qualifying starts in 10 minutes time, so. Yeah, well, it says the data will load 10 minutes before qualifying. Well, if the qualifying wasn't, delayed, then we would have had it by now, but yeah. Okay, in fact, actually, I might, let's have a look. Can I get my hands on the data? I don't think I can, to be honest. Yeah, no, I can't get my hands on the data. Unfortunately. Also, you got 200 people watching. If you guys could hit the like button, that would very much be appreciated. Definitely just helps out the channel. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. We've got, what have we got going on? Just practice sessions. It'll be ending in about a minute or two, so not even that long. And then we'll be going qualifying for the sprint weekend. Well, the sprint race, whatever you want to call it, really. Yeah. Okie dokes. Yeah, qualifying for the sprint race. That's what I mean. Are there drivers ready to join Audi in 2026? Or are you going to see the new ones from F2? Well, I haven't heard much about Audi. I've heard a lot about Andretti joining Formula One, and there are a couple of teams that are against that, a couple of teams for it. But I haven't heard anything about Audi. They will definitely have drivers that are like in F2, and they'll be able to drive in F1. It's more of a question about super license points. Are these drivers experienced enough in F1 cars to join Audi? Also, I think if Audi were to join, they're such a major car company that they would probably want some experienced drivers in there, just not to be driving around at the back in their first season of Formula One, which is probably what's going to happen. But at least they have some sort of, experience in the car, know how the systems work and stuff, because you've got to understand, like, all of these F1 teams, they've got their systems, such as, they have their debriefs, they have like so many sensors on the car, they cross-check data from one sensor to another to see if one's failed or not. They have their internal team processes of what do we do once we get a DNF, what do we do once we do so and so. And Audi will have none of that knowledge. So there'll be higher experienced people, obviously, from other teams. But of course, the driver is the center point of the car, center point of the team. So having an experienced driver will definitely come in hand. So I don't know if they'll be taking an F2 driver, but we'll wait and see. I want Austin to come for Haas's upgrades, and they won't be quick today at all. Yeah, well, Haas. Haas actually had quite a good race in Qatar a couple of years ago. We'll just have to wait and see. To be honest, I don't really know much about the Haas upgrades. Are they going to be good or not? But yeah. Okie dokes. Yeah, so the extra practice session has begun. The track surface is extremely hot today, by the way. Of course, right now it is like afternoon in Qatar. I think it's the afternoon in Qatar. So the weather is hot as expected, and track temperature is extremely hot. So it's now 4 p.m. in Qatar, and track surface is very, very hot indeed. How long till the shootout begins? It will begin in 9 minutes time. So yeah, hopefully the data gets through and there isn't any sort of issues with the system, because but just looking at the replays of the cars driving around, you see Charles Leclerc just narrowly going over the white limits. The drivers, of course, pushing as far as they can because they want to get that lap time, but Charles Leclerc just a margin of a couple of centimeters before he and he goes over the white line. So, but anyway, the checkered flag is out. Drivers now just coming back to the pit lane. They'll be refueling the car and they'll be getting going. Also, another thing to point out, today's qualifying session, it will be hard tires for the Q1, medium tires for Q2, and soft tires for Q3. So that's the tires that will be used today. We'll see how the hard tires perform in Q1. Are they going to be able to, how are they going to work? Are they going to heat up in time? I'm sure they will, considering we're in the Qatari sun. Max Verstappen having quite a big moment here, going through, I think it's turn number 13, just big snap of oversteer, going all over the grass. No, not the grass, sorry, the gravel. And kicking up a whole lot of dust. Not ideal, really. One of the few mistakes that we have seen from Max Verstappen in the recent weekends. And interesting. All right, are the tyres mandatory? Yes, the tyres are mandatory, so they will have to use the hard, mediums, and softs because, the FIA said so. All right. Oh, in other news, I'm going to be applying. I don't know if I said this. I think I've said this on stream. I'm at university doing engineering, so I'm going to apply to an internship at the F1 teams. Considering that I'm in the UK and all of them have a factory in the UK, I think, apart from Ferrari maybe. But I'm going to apply to an internship, see what we get. Maybe I'll get some insider info. And I can leak that to you guys. I'm sure they won't let me. I've put on my CV that I have a YouTube channel about F1. So, yeah. All right. We have 5 minutes now till the qualifying shootout begins. Data will load hopefully shortly once the drivers get out onto the circuit, and probably will have to sign an NDA. Yeah, probably will have to sign an NDA, let's be honest. If any of you are watching and you work in an F1 team, then just email me. Hopefully you can hook me up with an internship, maybe even a job. Who knows? All right. Yeah, no, I'll try and convince them not to sign an NDA. I'll say that I've got a very good community of fans and no one's going to leak anything. But maybe that's how I get into commentary. I become an F1 engineer, and then I'm like the engineering commentary guy. Like I've got all the info from the team and the engineering know-how. Who knows? Because I don't think I'm that good at like the most exciting moments. Like, when Crofty is like totally like he's screaming at the top of his voice, and you get like the goosebumps and the hair standing on your end. Like, I don't think I'm that good at that, but just analysis and strategy and all of that kind of stuff, I think I'm probably better at that, more suited to that. So, let's see what happens. Okie dokes. Yeah. Be sure to hit the like button, guys, and I will. Yeah, I'm streaming for the sprint race this weekend, obviously, and the sprint race and the full race, of course, as well. Yeah. Alrighty then. So we are finally gonna get underway in the next 2-3 minutes, and yeah, we'll see what happens. I think Lance Stroll will improve. He must have, he was obviously very annoyed yesterday after his horrible performance. If he like put that annoyed energy into something constructive, and stayed up on the simulator and tried to find some performance, then he will hopefully be a little bit closer to Fernando Alonso today. We'll just have to wait and see what he can do, but. Yeah, but of course, if he spent the entire weekend evening just being annoyed, it's not going to do him any favors really for today. And yeah, that's just going to have it'll probably end up going into like a downward spiral, to be honest, if he just continues on with the negative energy. But I'm sure he's had his, he's got a lot of experience driving an F1 car. He knows that just thinking on the back foot and just being annoyed about whatever's happened is not a positive way to go about things. And he's definitely been able to deal with a lot of negativity. Of course, when he started in the sport, everyone was like, "Oh yeah, he's a pay driver." So yeah. How do you feel about the Ford Honda alliance for 2026? I haven't actually heard anything about that, to be honest. Let's see, Ford Honda F1. I mean, it's a bit strange because Ford is a very like American company, Honda's a very Japanese company. But yeah. Oh, they're going to. So it's Red Bull Ford instead. It's instead of Honda. Well, I I don't see why you would leave Honda. Honda did a very good job improving their car, but of course they wanted to do their like net zero neutral thing. So Formula One isn't exactly the best place to do that. How long until quali starts? Quali starts now. I don't know why the data hasn't come through yet. I'm going to refresh, see if we can get something. But it is not looking great, to be honest with you. Yeah, they might have just completely messed up the systems for today because of this little, um, sudden refresh in the system. Yeah. Okay, I will see if we can get some alternative data up, like the previous data that we had on older streams. Yeah, Qatar flying one of their Boeing 777s over the circuit right now. Probably doing a bit of a low pass, I'm presuming, just to show off. Of course, they're sponsoring the Grand Prix as well. So, yeah, it's nice from the Qatari government to do that. Okie dokes. Let's see. Is there anything else that I can do to get this information? Mm, right. Well, for now, what I'm gonna do is where's it gone? Yeah. Well, oh, this is a bit annoying, isn't it? Right. I will just have to look into and see how. So that's the usual data that we have. Let's see how this appears on the screen. Let's get rid of this. Move that across. Get rid of this data will load thing. Today's qualifying, isn't it? Okay, that's better. That is definitely better. Let's get rid of this. Yeah, this information is outdated. Apologies for this, guys. It's obviously not been ideal with the whole yeah, data not working today. But let's see, can we get? Yeah, hopefully this should work. There we go. All right. If we get the usual data back, then I will of course put that up. But for now, this is a bit of an interim solution. Hopefully you guys are all right with that. All right. Right. Yeah, it's finally starting now. Well, it actually should have started 4 minutes ago, according to the clock. So, oh look, this data isn't working either. This is just from yesterday. Yeah. Oh look at this. We've got yeah, no data from here either. Yep. Well, that is rather unfortunate, but I guess you guys are just gonna have to listen to my commentary of what's going on. Yeah, there's not much else I can add. The entire, hopefully, it's fine for the sprint weekend, for the sprint race. But yeah, as of now, no data is present. Right, let me just get this out of full screen. There we go. Right, so let's just. How is Lewis up in fourth? Oh, this is completely inaccurate. What am I gonna do? Right, I'll just go back to this because this is just misleading now. Because apologies for this whole mess, guys. Yeah, this is basically just misleading, telling you the wrong information. So let's close this. Put this back up, and I'll just say the data's not going to load because it isn't. Wrong one. Okay. Ultra deep field, yeah. That image is it's pretty cool. It's like if you hold like apparently it's if you hold a speck of like sand at arm's distance away from you and point it at the sky, that's how far away that is, and that's all you see in that one tiny little spot in the sky, which is ridiculous. Data will not load today. Will not load. Technical. I can't type with one hand. Technical issues. Commentary only. Right. Let's just stick that there. I would love to just put the actual F1 feed up, but I will definitely get copyrighted for that. I mean, the night sky photography. Yeah, I mean, if you get a Google Pixel, Google Pixels have a very nice night sky photography. I've got one. I've got the Google Pixel 4a, which is quite old now. But the newer Google Pixels, they have quite amazing nighttime photography. Oh, look at this. We've got the data. Oh no. All right, the data's loading up again. Let's go. Woohoo. Right. The data is back, guys. It will load in 24 seconds. But we're 7 minutes into the first qualifying session, so I'm just going to run you through what's happened. We've only all the drivers are now just out onto. No, it's not 7 minutes in. 7 minutes remaining, and all the drivers now just out on the circuit. We've got Lando Norris currently up in P1, a 1:26.4 from him. I will keep you up to date on lap time deletions. Of course, we've got the new track limit system in, and we'll see how that plays out. Right now we have got Norris up in first position. Perez in second, Verstappen yet to set a lap time. He's currently just started one. There we go. The data is back. Brilliant. A-okay, all right. 42-degree track temperature, extremely high there. They're not going to have any sort of issues warming up their tyres. I don't know why they're on medium tyres. Maybe they have decided to change it. Mediums on the first. Yeah, mediums in Q1, mediums in Q2, and then softs. But I think it's got something to do with the fact that with the whole tyre fiasco that they had overnight. So, yeah. A bit interesting, but I'll keep you up to date. Oh, you have a Canon R6 and some cool lenses. Well, fair enough. If you just, you just need no light pollution and long exposure time, and you can get some sort of night star, some sort of photography done. I think I captured a satellite. The Starlink satellites that Elon Musk has sent up. I managed to get a photo of one of those on my phone, which is quite crazy. But I did have to leave my phone outside for like 7 minutes while it took a photo. So. Anyway, back to qualifying. We've got 5 minutes left on the clock, and Max Verstappen has now just topped the timings, going a full 9/10 faster than George Russell. Quite ridiculous, to be honest, how he's just done that. He has gone, a whole lot of pace. We've got Logan Sargent track limits deletion at turn number 13, so that's where the new surface has been. That's where the new paint has been added in, and Logan Sargent, first of the drivers to fall foul of that, and he is now. Got his lap time deleted. He'll put himself right back down to the bottom of the grid position. I don't know. Right to the back of the grid. That's the right word. Okay, Pierre Gasly as well has got a lap time deletion. I'm not glad about doing this. Not glad about talking about all these track limits, but it's just what's happened now. When you give drivers 10 minutes warning of track limit changes, this is kind of the typical thing that you are going to get. All right. Also, guys, my commentary will be 40 seconds behind what's going on the data because the actual TV feed is 40 seconds behind. So apologies if something happens in chat and then, something happens on the data and then I'm talking about it 40 seconds late, but I'll keep a track of both, and if there's any track limit deletions or anything like that, I will keep you up to date. Okay, Alex Albon there getting a little bit screwed by, I think, one of the Red Bulls parked on the racing line. Albon still continuing on his lap though, so obviously not too bothered by it. It wasn't I guess he hasn't lost too much time. We'll see when he crosses the sector line now. How much slower is he going to be? He improves on his personal best, but of course he hasn't set a lap time yet, so his personal best was obviously going to be improved on. He's now down in 11th position, so not great. All right, Charles Leclerc has got a track limit deletion at turn number 5. Lance Stroll has got a track limit deletion at turn number 5, both of them on slow laps as well. So I don't see why they would get a track limit deletion on a slow lap and extend track limits, but each to their own. Stroll is holding up Max. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but I'll get a message coming through if it was anything serious. Look at this. Guan Yu Zhou, lap time deletion at turn number 13. Hamilton, lap time deletion at turn number 13. It's getting pretty severe. So we'll have to keep an eye out for this. And luckily the FIA are being a lot quicker about it today than they were yesterday. We've only got 2 minutes and 55 seconds left on the clock though, guys. So The time is ticking down. Hamilton with a lap time deletion. And as the track conditions do improve as they were yesterday, we could see the times tumbling and drivers struggling. All right. Fernando Alonso now crosses the line, puts himself up into 5th position. We'll see what the rest of the drivers can do. Everyone else on a in-lap. Stroll does cross the line. Stroll crosses the line, stays in 16th position. That is not looking good for him. And maybe he can do another lap. 2 minutes left on the clock. If he does a slow lap, he could probably get around and do one final lap if he has enough fuel in his car. But he is a full second behind his teammate, which is not ideal whatsoever. Also, Lando Norris comes across the line, 10th and a half behind Max Verstappen. And yeah, it's pretty similar pace to yesterday. Norris was 2/10 behind Verstappen. Now he's a 10th and a half. Purple in the first sector from Lando Norris. Wow, okay. All right, let's follow this lap of Lando Norris then. As he goes through now turn number 7 ahead of Charles Leclerc. Just making his way through there, hits the apex very nicely. Over the curbs a little bit on the exit, but it's all right for the qualifying lap. Into turn number 10, the slowest speed corner on the circuit, 160 kilometers an hour. And now he gets a nice little toe from Liam Lawson as well. Liam Lawson gets out the way nicely, and going into 12 now, all he has to do is not get his lap time deleted. Logan Sargent with a second lap time deletion. And this time at turn number 5 instead of turn number 13. Lando Norris comes across the line. Not comes across the line. Down the straight, down the back straight towards the final corner. And he's got a yellow middle sector, so does not improve on his previous middle sector. And here he comes through the final sector, and every mini sector is yellow for him. And here he comes into the pit lane. He knows he's not going to improve. 48 seconds left on the clock. Charles Leclerc not happy over the radio over his track limit extensions. And there is a fair amount of sand on the circuit as well. The drivers driving off the circuit and then coming back in. Lewis Hamilton going into turn number 13, he touched the inside curb, which unsettled the car, and then he exceeded track limits by the tiniest of margins, but nevertheless got his lap time deleted. Nico Hulkenberg with a lap time deleted at turn number 13 as well. Zhou crosses the line into 11th. Stroll with 9 seconds left on the clock starts another flying lap. Alex Albon also starts a flying lap. K-Mag comes across the line into 17th position. He's out of Q1. George Russell up into P1, 1/10 ahead of Max Verstappen. Yeah, obviously, as track evolution increases, we're going to see drivers get ahead of Max Verstappen. We had a brief yellow flag there, but everything has been cleared up and we are back racing. All right, Pierre Gasly crossed the line up into 4th position. Logan Sargent up into 14th, potentially out-qualifying Alex Albon in today's sprint qualifying here. Perez crosses the line up into 8th, nicely done. Liam Lawson, who is currently in 20th position on a very good lap indeed, comes across the line into 9th place. That is fantastic for him. Now we've got Charles Leclerc, who's in the elimination zone right now, comes out the final corner, and he comes across the line into 10th place. Not that high up for the Ferraris. They were struggling with downshifts yesterday, and him losing 0.2 of a second just in the downshift portion of turn number 12 alone. It's quite a big issue there for Charles Leclerc and his gearbox. Carlos Sainz across the line into 5th. Tsunoda across the line into 15th. Lawson out-qualifying Tsunoda at least in Q1 here. Stroll crosses the line now from 18th into 17th. Once again, out of Q1, he's not going to be pleased about that. Alex Albon out into 17th. Logan Sargent got his lap time deleted, and Alex Albon continues his streak of out-qualifying his teammate. Valtteri Bottas is the next driver to come across. Valtteri Bottas is coming into the pits. I think that is everyone. Yeah, that has been sprint qualifying 1, and the drivers eliminated are Yuki Tsunoda's got a lap time deleted. Alex Albon has got another lap time deleted. The lap time deletions are coming in. I'm going to wait for at least 2 minutes before I announce who's actually been eliminated and who hasn't, because we'll find out in 5 minutes time that Hamilton exceeded track limits and he's out. We will just have to wait and see. Have track limits been changed for this weekend? Yeah. At turn number 12 and 13, they have reduced the width of the circuit by 80 centimeters because the drivers are driving over the curbs too much and basically damaging their cars a whole lot. Both Alex Albon and Lance Stroll have had issues going through turn number, I think it's turn number 13 or 14. Just losing the car and losing the rear of the car specifically, both for Stroll and for Albon. And both of them getting eliminated in Q1. So I think that's all the track limit deletions out of the way. And we've got Stroll, Albon, Sonoda, K-Mag, and Sargent, who have been eliminated from today's qualifying. All right. Yeah, Sonoda's just been told over the radio that his lap time's been deleted, and I've got the TV feed muted, but I can guarantee that there'll be a couple of swear words thrown in there from Sonoda because he is not having a nice time. So let's just have a look. What did he do going into turn number 12? He looked to be fine. Turn number 13, just the narrowest of margins. And the thing was, he wasn't. If he wanted to, he could have stayed within track limits, but he was trying to get a good entry into 14 as well, because you've got to consider the wider out you are on turn number 13, the better entry you get into turn number 14. And yeah, so he was once again. Got caught out for that, and he is out of the session. All right, George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, Pierre Gasly, Liam Lawson, Logan Sargent, Yuki Tsunoda, Lance Stroll, and Alex Albon have failed to follow the race director's instructions of the maximum lap time. Once again, we saw a couple of these drivers yesterday doing the same thing, but as it was yesterday, the thing will be investigated after the session. And we will see how that works out for them. Maybe the drivers who did it yesterday and did it today might get some sort of penalty. I'm sure the drivers who've done it one time will get away with it just fine. All right, yeah, Yuki is making Lawson look great. Well, Yuki did get a lap time deletion, but even after his lap time deletion, I still think he would have, he would have been 4 tenths behind Liam Lawson. So Lawson doing a great job indeed of, he's been doing fantastic. Jumping into the car, replacing Ricciardo, and still being able to perform, which is brilliant. And the same can be said for Oscar Piastri. Out of the past 6 races, Oscar Piastri has outqualified Lando Norris 4 times now. So he's been putting in some solid performances, and it's great to see the rookie that able to challenge Lando Norris after 3/4 of a season. That is quite incredible, to be honest, and it's great to see. Okie dokes, we've got 10 minutes of the sprint qualifying second session, so Q2 effectively will be 10 minutes long, and then Q3 will be 8 minutes long. Once again, just shortened by 2 minutes compared to, shortened by, is it 2 minutes? No, shortened by 5 minutes, in fact, because we normally have 15 minutes in Q2. All right, Yuki said yesterday because Liam's a rookie, he can beat him here, and then this happened. Well, let's have a look. What happened in yesterday's quad? Did he outqualify him yesterday? Sonoda did outqualify Lawson yesterday by quite a significant margin. So yeah, I guess it's just ups and downs really. Not much else to add. All right, what was the driver that you were like back in the day? What was your driver that you liked back in the day around like 10 to 70 years ago? What was the driver that I like? Well, my favorite driver was, of course, Sebastian Vettel, but he's not 10 to 20, 70 years ago. So I'd maybe say Mika Hakkinen. Yeah, Mika Hakkinen, probably. Um, yeah. All right. So Q2 has begun, and the driver's now coming out of the pit lane once again on medium tyres. I don't like this new format, sprint this, shoot that. I'm off to watch sort of videos kids answer. Okay. Well, I think with the sprint format, I think it's just the way that things are heading. Like if you look at, say, cricket used to be like a test matches, and it used to be like 5 days long, and it was pretty boring. And to be honest, test matches right now are still pretty boring. But then they reduced it down into a 1 day format. They reduced it down into 20 over formats, which is now 4 hours long or something. They reduced it from 5 days into effectively 4 hours, made it a lot more exciting. So I would say that Formula One trying to do something similar, give the fans more action. Of course, practice is important for the drivers, but practice is important for the drivers, but then of course you've got to take into the fact that the fans, when they come to watch practice, they really don't get to see much. They get to hear the car, and there's no sort of overtaking or action. So the entire Friday really is a little bit boring for the fans, unless they get a paddock pass, of course. So it's a tricky situation, to be honest. I'm sure there were a lot of people that when cricket switched towards like a T20 thing, like people were like, no, this is stupid, this is dumb. But then, people got used to it. So I think it's just a little bit of, at least trying it out with an open mind. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I don't think I'm particularly the biggest fan either, but if it produces good racing, then who am I to complain? All right, so drivers now got out, done their warm-up laps. We've got George Russell on a flyer, Sainz, Perez, Hamilton as well. I would just skip all the highlights because you don't need to pay for the boredom. You can skip all the boredom and see who won. Yeah. Do you like cricket? Well, I think I'm going to watch a couple of games of the World Cup. Yeah, the World Cup does see it. Well, it's on right now, isn't it? I think, what is it? Sri Lanka and South Africa are playing. Yeah. Okie dokes. Drivers now. Let's see. George Russell coming out of the final corner, second to last corner now. Had a pretty decent middle sector, comparing to a couple of the other drivers. Sergio Perez going pretty quick as well. Lewis Hamilton, in fact, going 2/10 faster in the middle sector compared to George Russell. Quite a significant gap there between the two drivers. We'll wait and see if that evens out, though, as they come across the line. George Russell, a 126.2. Lewis Hamilton next across the line, a 126.0. The 2/10 that he gained in the middle sector were the deciding factor for that lap. So George Russell going to have to find out how Hamilton gained that in the middle sector and do something about it. But in fact, he doesn't have to do that anymore because Lewis Hamilton has just got his lap time deleted for track limits at turn number 13. That's pretty quick, though. I mean, he's on the other side of the circuit, and they've already given out track limits. So, yeah. Well, I'm from Sri Lanka. What a great day to be a cricket fan. Yeah, I don't think Sri Lanka are doing so well. I think I checked the score earlier, but I forgot what it was. Cricket World Cup. Let's see. Oh God, South Africa have scored 430. How have they done? Oh well, I saw it earlier. They only lost 1 wicket, and they were like 30 overs into the game. That is, 430. That is going to be a tough order, a tall order indeed. Yeah. Can you put the official F1 commentary? Unfortunately not. I will get copyrighted. It's the same thing as putting the official F1 feed up as well. Ooh, look at this. Norris crosses the line, goes ahead of Max Verstappen, and they're both going, and there's both approximately the same time as well. Brilliant lap there from Lando Norris. Wow. Maybe it's something to do with the medium tyres, the McLaren performing slightly better. Maybe Verstappen made a mistake. We'll see on the next runs now. But it's looking good for Lando. I mean, Lando said that he could get pole position today. And
yeah, Lando said that he could get pole position yesterday, sorry. And I sort of didn't believe him. I thought he was being a bit unrealistic. But looking at this lap time, I mean, it's definitely not off the cards then. We've got Charles Leclerc with a lap time deletion at turn number 5. Leclerc's had so many incidents at turn number 5. Every time he turns into turn number 4, the rear of the car just snaps and then he loses and then he goes off the circuit at turn number 5. And he's done that about 4 or 5 times now. So maybe it's, I'm not sure exactly what it is, but Leclerc's having downshift issues. And, well, this time, in fact, he just exceeded track limits. The car was fine. The car just didn't turn enough. It is qualifying for the sprint. That is exactly what's going on. Currently in the second session of qualifying. But yeah, Charles Leclerc's struggling with downshift issues. At least yesterday, he was 0.2 of a second behind, 0.2 of a second slower, sorry, just in the turn number 12, 13, and 14 because he was having some sort of gearbox issues. Also, I'd like to point out the wind is pretty strong today, 26.2 kilometers an hour. It's a headwind going down the start-finish straight, so the driver's slightly slower than usual. But as they go through the middle sector, they get a tailwind, so that's hurting their performance even more, and that's probably what's causing all of these track limit deletions because the drivers know what the car feels like at a certain speed, but then when you add the wind into the equation, then you just don't get the grip that you are expecting. Guan Yu Zhou with a lap time deletion at turn number 5. I think he made a mistake anyway, so he just backed out of it. But he's currently in 14th alongside Bottas, who's also in 15th. 3 minutes left on the clock. We've got currently Norris at the top of the times with Verstappen second and George Russell in third. Oh, you guys talking about the cricket? Yeah. Well, what are they on? They're on 54 for 1. Current run rate is still higher than what they need it to be. So, well, they're doing well, but it's pretty difficult to keep a run rate of 10 up for 50 overs. Like, you could potentially do it in a T20 because, of course, you've got less balls to get out in. But for 50 overs, it's a pretty tall order. But if the batsmen get into their groove, if they hit a 50, then it's quite likely that they will continue on to get 100. Anyway, this is not about cricket. Let's get back to the F1. And we've got now Carlos Sainz with a lap time deletion at turn number 13. Currently, he was up in 10th position. He's now been dropped all the way back down. He is on an out lap now, so he will be fine. He'll recharge his battery and he will be getting going. What does each bar indicate on the screen? So effectively, what it is the circuit is split into 3 sectors normally, just as sector 1, sector 2, sector 3. But then within those sectors, there are even smaller sectors. And if it's a yellow bar, that means that the driver was slower than their personal best in that little section of the circuit. And then green, of course, better than their personal best in that small little part of the circuit. And then purple is obviously fastest out of anyone. But yeah, that effectively the small little bars are representing the small parts of the circuit. So the first one you would say is like just after the start finish straight. The second one maybe turn number 1. Next one the entry of turn number 2. So it's that sort of thing. Yeah. And if it's all yellow, it's probably they're on an in lap or an out lap. And if it's blue at the start or at the end, that means they're coming in or out the pits. All right, we've got Carlos Sainz starting a flying lap, Piastri starting a flying lap. Norris and Verstappen definitely in the pits. They're just like, oh yeah, we can just sit in the pits. We're making it through. No need to worry. No need to worry about anything. Sergio Perez, he's starting a flyer. Valtteri Bottas comes across the line now and stays in 11th place. That is it for Valtteri Bottas, eliminated out of Q2. Nico Hülkenberg currently in 10th position. He starts his flying lap. We've got 22 seconds left on the clock. Guan Yu Zhou with 2 green sectors. Is he quicker than Valtteri Bottas? No, 4/10 slower in the first sector alone. Let's see what he can do as he comes across the line. Guan Yu Zhou behind Valtteri Bottas, only a half a tenth though. Very, very close indeed. And Zhou gets his lap time deleted, unfortunately. Checkered flag is out. Lewis Hamilton, first driver to take it. George Russell up into second position. Wow. George Russell once again ahead of Lewis Hamilton. It's looking good for, well, I was going to say the British driver, but they're both British. George Russell is having a, is putting in some solid performances, getting ahead of Hamilton quite often now. So yeah, it's good to see that. We've got Pierre Gasly next across the line. He's up into 8th. Lawson into 11th. Unfortunately, he does not get out of the session. Carlos Sainz currently in 14th, comes across the line now and puts himself up into 5th position. Good improvement there. Charles Leclerc as well on a flying lap. Had a couple of purple mini sectors. And here he comes across the line into 5th. And he's half a tenth faster than his teammate. We've got Sergio Perez coming across the line up into 3rd. Oscar Piastri pulls into the pit lane. He had a purple first sector, in fact. Had made a mistake in the second sector, though, and then pulled into the pits. Nico Hulkenberg, current was in 14th, now up into 9th. Makes his way out of Q2 and into Q3. And then we have got Valtteri Bottas, who has already completed his lap. So that is it. And by the looks of it, no track limits deletions this time. So the driver's getting a little bit more used to it. Oh, Hamilton got a lap time deleted. Hamilton is out. Liam Lawson got a lap time deleted as well. Wow, I said it about 10 seconds ago. No lap time deletions, and I've just now commentators cursed it. Yeah, Hamilton showing good pace and he's out. Liam Lawson got his lap time deleted. He was out anyway, but Hamilton, who was up in I think 6th or 5th position or something, now down into 12th after his lap time deleted. Zhou also getting a lap time deleted, unfortunately. Not that it particularly mattered for him though. Yeah. So that's a bit of a shock there. Lewis Hamilton getting eliminated. We'll just have to see what he can do from 12th position in the sprint race. Of course, it's not too many points. Of course, it's how many is it? 8 points on at max available. But of course, Lewis Hamilton is trying to chase down Sergio Perez for second place in the Constructors' Championship. And yeah, we'll just see what he can do. Perez obviously not in the best of form right now, and Hamilton is on a roll. Of course, he's still getting beaten by George Russell, at least in qualifying, quite consistently. Right now, it's 9-8 between the two Mercedes drivers, but of course, George Russell has been winning beating Hamilton in qualifying quite recently, so he is doing a good job there. But we'll see what Hamilton can do. Obviously, still a very talented driver. And lots of performance still left in him. Probably 8 points for Max, let's be honest here. Norris is doing a good job challenging him, to be honest. But is he going to be able to perform all the way till the end of the race? Norris could get pole, but I don't think he's going to be able to keep the race win from him. The circuit, it doesn't lend itself towards overtaking, but it's, not great. For Lando Norris if he wants to try and win the race. The pace from Max Verstappen will just be all-encompassing. Every single corner, he'll be right on the back of him. We'll have to wait and see what happens though. It's still a pretty tall order to ask Norris to get pole position here. He did set a good lap, of course, but it's pretty tough still. All right, yeah, is Q2 done? Yeah, Q2 is done. We'll have Q3 starting in a couple of minutes. Not too long. Yeah. I'm just going to have a quick drink of water. I'll be back in a second, guys. Hamilton got a lap time deleted, so that's what happened there. And also, I would like to point out that George Russell and Pierre Gasly have once again been given warnings from race control about about maximum delta time, so they've been driving too slowly, effectively. And I think Gasly got one yesterday as well, and he got one in Q1, and now he's got one in Q2. That is now 3 times that he's been told by race control, and Alpine would have got the message. Like, if I can get the message, Alpine have definitely got the message from race control. And I think that is, well, it's definitely not a good look, and we'll see. Maybe he will get a penalty for just repeatedly breaking the rules. Yeah, it's, I mean, it's quite simple, you know. They have the systems fitted in their car for the safety car to fit to the delta. Now all they need is just the opposite. In the safety car, they have the minimum delta, and in these conditions, they have a maximum delta. But I think what they're doing is just trying to extend it out to their advantage as much as possible. Like, they know that the slower they go, the better the tires are going to be for the actual quali lap, and they're trying to get away with as much as possible from the FIA. So if the FIA don't put their foot down, then everyone's just going to, you know, break the rules. So, yeah. What is the sprint shootout? The sprint shootout is effectively just the sprint qualifying. I don't know why they call it a shootout. They want to make it more exciting, I guess. It's a little bit pointless, though. And yeah, it's just like normal Q1, Q2, Q3. But the only difference is that the drivers, that the qualifying sessions are 8 minutes long, like they're shorter than they normally are. So I think it's 12, 10, and 8 rather than 18, 15, and 12. So, yeah. Yeah, Stroll is definitely eaten by Alonso. Eaten, maybe not the right word, but he's yeah, he's getting demolished effectively in terms of qualifying pace. Green light at the end of pit lane. We've got Max Verstappen, first driver out of the pits, and then we've got the McLaren and the Ferrari following him. Oh no, just the Ferrari following him. The 2 Ferraris. Yes, there is a sprint race. It's happening in 3.5 hours. Yeah, 3.5 hours, and the sprint race will be underway. So, yeah, I will be streaming that. And I'll, you know, when this stream ends, it'll take you to the next stream. So, yeah. All right. Could Lawson take Stroll's seat next year? I mean, he could, but I don't think that's going to happen, mainly because, you know, Lawrence Stroll owns Aston Martin F1. And he kind of bought the team because his son was so invested in F1. So, you know, I don't think that's going to happen. Also, guys, if you are enjoying the stream, be sure to hit the like button. It definitely does help out the channel. Hopefully we could grow the audience back to what it was before I stopped streaming for the holidays. Yeah. And we can get a couple more people watching along. That would be great for the channel, for the community. And yeah, okie dokes. We have 6 minutes left on the clock, and it looks like most of the drivers are only going to do 1 lap. Everyone else, so we've got the 2 Red Bulls, the 2 Ferraris who are expecting it to make it through into Q3. They are out on soft tyres. And the remaining drivers are just sitting in the pits, and they're going to go out later. So we will see how that goes down. All right, Max Verstappen starting his flying lap. So let's have a look at this. Max Verstappen doing a brilliant job indeed, maneuvering that car through turn number 1 and 2. I mean, with just such grace, effectively. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but the car just looks so planted, and it looks very much in control of what the car's going to do. As he makes his way through turn number 6 now, the slowest corner on the circuit. I think it's the slowest corner on the circuit, and it's still 160 kilometers an hour, like 100 miles per hour. It's quite ridiculous, really. And that's kind of why we've been hearing about all of these tire issues, because, yeah, the tire issues have just been caused by that simple fact that all of the corners are so high speed, and then none of them are slow, and the curbs are quite violent. The drivers are driving over the curbs. Max Verstappen maybe exceeded track limits there, not sure. But what was I going to say? Yeah, just such high speed corners have just been causing a lot of issues for everyone. Okie dokes. Right, here comes Max Verstappen then across the start finish line, a 124.5. Now that is quick. Considering track temperature is 41 degrees, that's about 5 degrees hotter than it was during yesterday's quali. The tyres are definitely going to be screaming a lot more than they were. And Verstappen done a brilliant job. And also, looking at this precision, oh my God, he's literally driving on the white line absolutely perfectly. The car getting a little bit away from him when he's driving over on the inside curbs of a couple of corners. But apart from that, the precision that I just saw from Max Verstappen there, it's astonishing, really. And yeah, he got his lap time deleted at turn number 5. But the precision at turn number 13 was ridiculous. I thought he would have got his lap time deleted at 5. He went quite a bit too far off the circuit. Yeah. Don't think Stroll will be kicked out, but promoted into a management position. Well, I don't think that Stroll's definitely going to want to do a management position. Maybe Aston Martin are doing some GT racing. He might get put into that. We will just have to wait and see. Verstappen got a lap time deleted at turn 5. So did Leclerc. Now. Apologies for that. I didn't get much sleep last night because I just couldn't fall asleep. Yeah, but what was I going to say? Yeah, Leclerc, that's like the 5th or 6th time now this weekend he's got his lap time deleted. Well, in these qualifying sessions, so it is not great. Okie dokes, we've got 3 minutes left on the clock. Max Verstappen, what is he doing? Is he coming back into the pit lane? Yeah, he's coming back into the pit lane now. And let's see what the rest of the drivers are doing. Lando Norris currently on a flying lap. This is his one and only flying lap for today's qualifying session, so hopefully it doesn't get deleted. We've got Oscar Piastri as well. He's also doing his one and only qualifying lap for the qualifying session. Sainz gets out of the way nicely, and as he comes out the final corner, Charles Leclerc in a 125.1 goes ahead of Sergio Perez, and then we've got Oscar Piastri 124.5. Wow. That is 0.3 of a second slower than Max Verstappen's time. And Lando Norris has now just crossed the line and just goes marginally quicker than Max Verstappen's deleted time. I'm just talking about Verstappen's deleted time. But if Verstappen's time wasn't deleted, then he would be in second position behind Lando Norris. So that is a very good lap there from Norris. And we'll just have to wait and see how that happens. We've got Fernando Alonso now coming out into the circuit. 2 minutes left on the clock. So if Alonso going for the latest possible time, the best possible track conditions. We'll see how that works out for him. But Lando Norris doing a absolutely brilliant job, I must say. And going 9 milliseconds faster than Max Verstappen's deleted lap time. Okay, so I'm just going to get a quick drink of water and then we'll do the final 2 minutes, 3 minutes of the commentary. Okie dokes. Right then, so we've got Verstappen now out on the circuit. He's done his out lap. He's got his tyres prepped perfectly. And he is now 1 minute 13 left on the clock. So this will be his final flying lap. Also, I would like to point out Verstappen never came into the pits, I don't think. So that means that he had extra fuel on in his first stint. So in his first lap, sorry. So he's going to have older tyres, but he's going to have less fuel. Well, we'll see how that plays out. But Verstappen in his first couple of mini sectors, he goes purple. It is looking good for him. Right, Charles Leclerc, he gets another lap time deleted. So that's both of his laps now in Q3. Charles Leclerc has got deleted, and he's going to come out with a 158.7. That is not great, and it looks like he's going to be in 10th position by the looks of it. Yeah, unless everyone else is starting their flying laps now. So let's see what happens. Sergio Perez, lap time deleted as well. So he was... I don't know what his previous lap time was, to be honest. So George Russell comes across the line now, 124.8, 0.3 behind the McLarens. By the way, Max Verstappen is setting quite a few purple sectors, but Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris are fighting back. fighting back very nicely indeed. So we'll see what happens there. But everyone now on their final runs. Checkered flag is out. Max Verstappen, first driver to come across the line. Esteban Ocon gets his lap time deleted. So he stays. He'll go back down to 10th position as well. So here comes Max Verstappen now across the line, and only third position from Max Verstappen. Lando Norris is on provisional pole. Okay, I don't know exactly. I wasn't expecting this, but Norris is on provisional pole. We've got Hulkenberg currently in 5th position now. Charles Leclerc coming across the line. Hopefully he doesn't get his lap time deleted this time round. Here he comes then out the final corner into 5th position, even not that big of an improvement from him. Oscar Piastri currently in 2nd place, only half a tenth behind his teammate, comes across the line, goes ahead of his teammate by 1/10 of a second. What can Lando Norris do? We've got Carlos Sainz coming across the line first. Sainz is across the line, only into 5th position. Next is Lando Norris. What can he do? And it looks like Lando Norris back. I don't know if he backed out of the lap, but he was 2 seconds slower out the final corner. Looks like he got a very big snap of oversteer coming out of there, and just decided to completely back out of the lap. So Norris in 2nd, Oscar Piastri on pole position for today's qualifying session. That is ridiculous. Oscar Piastri, in his rookie season, may I point out, has outqualified Lando Norris. Yeah, Norris went way too far out on the final corner. Completely misjudged it and ended up 2 seconds slower than his previous time. He was on track to beat his own time. He's on track to beat Piastri, but he messed up the final thing. But it's a McLaren 1-2, guys. A McLaren 1-2. How long has it been since you've seen a McLaren 1-2? I mean, it must have been 2007, 2008. Since the last time you've seen a McLaren 1-2. I mean, let alone McLaren on the front row. That's been a very, very long time indeed. 2021, you've seen a McLaren in, what was it? What race did they win? I think it was Monza, right? Yeah. Wait. Daniel Ricciardo did win a race, right? Yeah, Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris had a 1-2 somewhere in Italy, yeah. But either way, guys, that is quite an exceptional qualifying, and maybe, just maybe, we'll see the two McLarens teaming up and trying to keep Max Verstappen behind. That might be the strategy. We will have to wait and see. Monza at 21, yeah. Monza 2020 was Gasly winning his race, and then 2021 was the two McLarens. So, yeah, McLaren 1-2 they're in qualifying first time. We'll see what they can do, but it's looking good. They're catching up to Aston Martin, I think. Oh, are they ahead of Aston Martin or catching up? I'm not sure, but nevertheless, they are scoring a lot of points this weekend. They're just behind Aston Martin by about 50 points. So Fernando Alonso in 5th. He's going to have a lot of carrying to do since Stroll's down in 16th position. Oscar Piastri's maiden pole position. Yeah, maiden pole position on his in his rookie season of F1, beating out his teammate, beating out Max Verstappen, the reigning world champion as well. It is a fantastic job indeed. Oh, Fernando Alonso has got his lap time deleted. Right, hopefully Piastri hasn't got his lap time deleted. That would be very unfortunate. But Fernando Alonso, lap time deleted. He stays in 5th position though. He doesn't. He goes all the way down into 9th. So, yeah. McLaren are definitely having a very good day, and it looks like they are going to catch up to Aston Martin in the constructors. It'll be pretty close by the time we get to the end of the season. We'll have to see how Fernando Alonso performs. But Oscar Piastri now getting out the car, and I'm sure he's very, very pleased indeed about how about his qualifying session, about his first maiden pole. It is brilliant. All right, so I am going to end the stream here, guys. So we've got the sprint race starting in... The sprint race stream will be starting in exactly 3 hours and 4 minutes. So I will end the stream now. It'll take you over to the sprint race stream. Just go ahead and press the reminder button and press the like button. That will help out the YouTube algorithm. Hopefully we can get a couple more people watching. And if you aren't subscribed, then be sure to subscribe. If you've enjoyed the coverage, then thank you very much for listening to me. It's been a pleasure commentating to you guys. And I will see you in 3 hours for the sprint race. So that's been qualifying. Cheers, fellas, and I will see you later.